At church, they had a sign listing all of the rules for the people who came to church for social services. It said you need to have an appointment, stand in line for your turn, only visit once a week, and not use any cussing words. I hated the sign. One day I was standing at reception and a man came over to me and said that he had brought his friend to our church for help. And when he read the sign, he was embarrassed and ashamed by it. He said the sign made him feel bad. I said, take a number, honey. I've been hating on the sign a lot longer than you. Welcome. Welcome to Sunday Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. At Sunday Coffee Hour, we talk about everything and nothing. This Sunday, we talked about shopping for an easy class, winning the conception lottery, wearing flashy jewelry, how Mayor Daley either lifted people up or bulldozed them down, and about Salman Rushdie's The Satanic Verses. The readings at Washington National Cathedral were from Deuteronomy. We'd rather listen to a prophet instead of hearing God. And from Corinthians, we can exist without knowing everything, but we can't exist without love. The gospel reading was from Matthew. He casts out the unclean Democrats, and even they obey. The sermon at Washington National Cathedral was by Randy Hollerith. Randy said we're in for trouble in this election year ahead because the Republicans are unwilling to bend to reason. Randy mentioned that during Andrew Young's 40-minute sermon a couple of weeks ago, he had an epiphany. He realized it's all about telling a story, the story of Christ through the living of our own lives. Randy asked, where do we find authority? Many of us look to politics, but Randy said a politician will never save you, but Christ can. It's a matter of what's authoritative and what isn't. Randy said that the Pew Research people show that only 4% of marriages in this country are between a Democrat and a Republican. Many Democrats will not talk to Republicans, and many Republicans think Democrats are evil. We all live in our own bubble. Nobody knows why people think the way they do. When everything is so personal, it's easy to demonize the other. Randy said, courage isn't standing up against the people you disagree with. It's standing up against the people you do agree with on behalf of those you disagree. That's heavy. It sounds good, but if you're Christ, Martin Luther King, or a prophet in our time, it's probably not going to turn out so good. The sermon at St. James was by Stephen Balke. He preached about what authority looks like. Stephen said we don't need to wield a badge or wear a uniform to show our power. It's all about how we do things. People see our actions, and that's what authority looks like. Sure, we can force people to do things through compunction and punishment, but that's not authority. That's the federal government. After the sermon, they sung a hymn at St. James to the Christmas music tune from Away in a Manger, only at St. James. It's all glorious to them, doing their own thing. It works for them. They're an authority unto themselves in all the best ways possible, even if they're singing to a tune that seems out of step with the rest of the world. None of us want to be scolded or called out for breaking the rules. At church, I was always cautioning people who volunteered that at some point they were very likely to get burned for doing something wrong, giving a homeless person more than one piece of bread, allowing someone to be on a committee who wasn't technically a member, or visiting another church that was on the wrong side of our own denomination. Chicago is a conservative town with a window dressing of liberalism. If you don't believe a prescribed set of beliefs, then you're out. If you're not vaccinated, Democrat, white hating, and a bigot, then you're simply not a good person. Some people think the Bible is kind of satanic, and in a way, you can read it as a history sprinkled with ideas of what it means to be a good person at various times in history. It usually has more to do with our ways than God's ways. On many occasions, you can see the Bible as being more a book about how we would want God to write the story, and not so much about God's ways. It's a cautionary tale of probably what not to do. I've never cared for the thing they say at funerals, the well done, faithful servant, enter in. What does that say about the people who didn't do such a good job or who struggle with being faithful? John Buchanan said he really wasn't sure what God was going to do when Hitler arrives at heaven. But I do. He's going to say, well done, faithful servant, enter in. Where he's going to say it to everyone. We're all going to get a prize for participation. The joke's not going to be on Hitler, it's going to be on us. My friend Alex is a lawyer, and I've been following a case he's been working on. Devon is a repeat offender. His latest charge is entirely circumstantial. Devon's sister Valerie was struggling to pay Alex's legal fees. When she fell behind, Alex asked the court to withdraw him from the case. Devon was very angry in court when he found out. Later, I asked Alex if he had let Devon and Valerie know that he was going to withdraw from the case, and he said he had not. When I was litigated against by church, I had the presence of mind to hire an attorney, and if I hadn't, I'd probably be in jail right now. It's a particular insight, not so much into the legal system, but into the people who use the system to support their own notion of being a good person at other people's expense. Randy was on to something very significant when he shared that courage is not standing up against those you disagree with, but standing up against those you do agree with on behalf of those you disagree. Giving that extra piece of bread, inviting someone to serve on committee, or warning others they hired a psychopath for a pastor. Apparently, none of us want to listen to God, so we follow the prophets. But somewhere in the background, God is speaking. And because we all assume we know what he wants to tell us, we're all going to get the participation prize. If you would like to join us at Sunday Coffee Hour, Sunday Coffee Hour is every Sunday at 12 noon Central Time on Zoom. I will include my email in the description of this video. I'll be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.